Alright, here we are. Hey, and I have the microphone turned on from the start today, so that's cool. I have something else going on my other screen that's making sound though, so let me get rid of that. Alright, that's better. So, good morning. At least, morning for me. Let's see, what is different since the last time that we streamed? So I've worked on a couple of things. I cleaned up some of these parts that we were scribing last time. This little vent part here was the one that had the undersides. Let me zoom this in for you. Actually, let's switch over to here and I'll show you this way. So these undersides of this vent part were hollow. And so these two things right here are 3D printed parts that I designed to fill in this space. And I printed those yesterday and glued them in place, and I threw a coat of primer on here to see how it was looking. There are some edges, not sure, yeah, you can kind of see on the camera. This is not perfectly flush here where the 3D printed part meets up. Hey, good morning. So I'm actually going to fill that with super glue just to smooth that out and then sand it down. So that is almost done, and I'm much happier with this as opposed to the hollow bit that was there before. So that's done. The other thing that I've been working on is this chicken head, this vent area at the front of the chicken head where these wings are going to go. So let's put this in place here. So what I wanted is, instead of this part, which normally sits inside of here to fill that space out, I want to put two more wings that look similar to this, but a little bit smaller, probably similar style though, and I want them coming out the sides here. And so what I did is I used my digital calipers and measured the connection point here. So I've got a part that I've printed. I'm kind of on the third or fourth iteration of printing this thing now. Let's see if I can get this open and I'll show it to you. Switch back to this other camera. Alright. So inside of here, I've got this little part, which is basically the same as the internals of this piece, all measured out so that it fits in there perfectly into the slot where that piece normally fits, and then it just fills in this area here. And I'm going to extend it out this way so that it fills in this triangular area back here as well. So when we put this together, you can see there's still an opening that's visible right here. So I'm going to fill that in as well, and then once I get that fit perfectly, so if there aren't any gaps or anything, then I'll design the two extra little wing parts that are going to come out from the sides of this. And I'll probably have them angled down just a little bit, so that from the front it will look like, you know, you've got the wing going up and then two sort of slightly downward facing ones, and then this opening right here will be filled with something that looks like a vent, like an intake vent. So I think that will help remove the chicken head look from this thing, which is the thing that has really bugged me about this kit since I first saw it. So anyway, that 3D print work will continue probably later today or tomorrow. Yeah, there is a Calamity back there. There's actually both versions, the P-Bandai version of it as well. Super good detail on those kits, but you're right, not a lot of color separation, so lots of painting and masking, which is what I'm seeing with this kit as well, right? So, like, here's the example of one of the parts that's completely done, but like this was just all white, and so I had to do a lot of work to get the color separation that I wanted on this thing. So we're doing the same thing now today, probably, with this bird tail part. And that's going to be my plan for working today. I've got these all done. So this is up next, and like so much white here, but so much good detail, right? So I've got to kind of look through this and figure out what colors I want to use or what areas I want to be color separated, and then make sure that we've added panel lines in all the right places to separate that out so that it makes it easier for me to mask and paint it later. So let's see, I think I'm gonna begin with just some sketching with a pencil on this thing. We'll zoom this back out so you can see the whole thing. That's out of the way, that's out of the way, this out of the way. And we'll start up here with this tail bit. I want all of this up here to be the darker gray. I want the tip of this to be whatever color I was using for similar style parts. So yeah, so like this color that's on the end of this point here will be up here because it's got that same little indentation pattern on it. I'm actually fairly happy, I think, with all of the separation and lines that are already here. I probably want to extend that a little. Maybe do something down here with this vent, which is kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere. And there is a big seam line right down the middle of this thing, but for this kit, I'm decided I don't care about those kind of things so much, so I'm not going to try to fill that. I'm just going to let it be, and I don't think it'll be too noticeable. Yeah. And then the rest of this big empty space here is not that appealing to me, but I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. And then these are good, they just need to be lined around the edges to separate everything out so that I can change the colors when I paint it. The inside of this is going to have to change a little bit. And then maybe the back side here where this red wraps around, I might want it just to continue to wrap all the way around. I don't know. It does up here. I don't think it needs to down here. But yeah, the insides of all these little vent parts being white just because they didn't want to use a different color plastic or separate parts, that bugs me. We'll fix that for sure. That's what happens when you're used to building master grade kits and then you do a high grade or a RE100 or full mechanics or one of those. You don't get the color separation that you expect. So let's begin with this bit, which I think is actually good. I'm not crazy about that circle. I might fill it in. This one right here. Yeah. Or I guess the other option is to somehow attach something to it so that it's not just there by itself. Don't have a huge preference either way yet. I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart if I can. Yeah, so all those kits on the wall behind me, on the shelf back there, are, oh, you know what? There's that Gunpla Gallery logo back there lights up. And I didn't push the button over here that lights it up. Let's light that up. There we go. Alright. Cool. So, those kits on the shelves behind me are all the ones that I had built earlier this summer on stream. They're just snap built. So all of them eventually will need some painting. But since I was already working on this one like last year and I never finished it, I figured I should do this one first before I start worrying about all of those. Alright, there we go. So this part, other than sanding, doesn't need anything done to it. I am going to be careful with this seam line that's down the middle of this fin part, because since I'm not planning to fill it, I also don't want to like chip it with the part separator, because at least that way it will fit together as tightly and perfectly as possible. Also be careful while I'm sanding these parts to not sand that back too far and add a gap there. Alright, so we have that. We have this red bit that fits in the middle here. And I don't think that's going to need any modifications either. I'm just looking over there because this reminds me of these bits in here, and I'm wondering if I should just add some angled scribes to sort of mirror that look. I'm thinking probably not. There's enough else that's going to be going on around it here. Alright, so we'll say that one doesn't need anything either. Then we have these two very big parts. And then this thing, which should not be white. It should be probably gray, something that looks like inner frame, since it's part of the mechanical workings of this tail section. So we'll set those off to the side with this other gray bit to remind myself later that those should be gray. I don't think we need that pencil after all. I'm going to just scribe the edges here, so like this little segment here needs to be a separate color because it's probably going to be a dark gray. Actually, all of this might become gray. I'll have to see what it looks like, but yeah, all of these edges around these indentations need panel lines scribed so that it gives me the option to change their colors. Yeah, so nothing super complicated here, just scribing the edges, I think. And I'm going to use the 0.2mm that I've been using elsewhere on the kit. And we'll deal with that little edge later. Start with something easier first, because that one is going to have to be finished off somehow. And it's not obvious how to finish that one off yet, so... Still haven't decided whether I like this zoomed in or out. I guess probably like this, as long as I remind myself to keep the part in frame. Yeah, so I normally try to stream on Monday mornings. And yesterday, that got preempted because where I live, sometimes we launch rockets. And yesterday, NASA was going to, or it was their first attempt to launch the Artemis 1 rocket that's going to go to the moon. And that's pretty exciting around here, and so I went to try to watch it. Not with the huge crowds. I actually rode my bike to a kind of a wetlands park area that I normally ride in, and I thought I'd be able to get a good view from there. However, they had a technical problem loading the fuel into the rocket, and so that launch attempt didn't happen. Maybe we get to try again on Friday. So we'll see. what happens there. They have to figure out and resolve the problem before they can try again, of course. And I believe they're deciding on that today, so... Alright, one edge down, only like 15 more to go, right? It might not be 15. The good thing for me while I'm doing this kind of work, because it doesn't require a lot of thinking necessarily, just a little bit of concentration, right? But that's about it. It allows me to stare at this part for a really long time, and so while I'm scribing, I often am thinking about how I want to paint this thing when I finally get to that step. And usually, if I've stared at the part long enough, I can remember what I was thinking later on when I get to the painting step. I think I'm finally getting used to working in this new studio space. It still feels, it's only like 2 weeks old, right? So it still feels new, but I'm starting to instinctively remember like where things are and stuff like that. When I go to try to find a specific tool or something like that, I'm doing better about knowing right off the top of my head where it is and where I put everything and stuff like that. So that's great as well. Alright, so this is the edge that I was talking about earlier that I have to figure out how it ends, because this little edge right here comes down like this, but then it just kind of goes off into nothingness on this lower little lip right here. So I want to carry this around, probably just straight that way. I think the easiest way to do that is going to just be to get a nice wide chisel and just use it as a way to press that line into place. Just eyeball it like so. Ow. So I pressed the part into my palm. Never do that, that hurts. It had a sharp edge on the other side there. Alright, so that should give me then enough of a starting spot to be able to make this scribe this way. This is something I've been doing a lot more recently. Like back when I first started scribing, I would have tried real hard to fit a tiny piece of tape there and you know, scribe it sort of the right way with a piece of scribing tape. However, this works just fine and it's a whole lot faster. As long as you're careful when you press that chisel in to get it nice and straight. Yep, so that'll work. All right, that's looking good. I do want to do this long edge here. Is that even showing? Yeah, I guess the lighting is always strange with white parts. Maybe I should decrease that overhead light just one more notch, and then that way it washes out a little less on camera. It's hard to see detail on white parts in videos in general. It's always super satisfying when you scribe a really long line and you end up with that one piece of long plastic that's just curled up all the way along like that. There's a little area right here where I deviated from the edge just a little bit. It like the line comes away from from that edge because I was not paying attention. And so that's fine. I'll go ahead and scribe the correct thing here, and then I can always fill that and fix it later. It's not a huge deal. But it is a reminder to pay better attention. All right, so up here at this top edge, there is a tiny, yeah, I can feel it with this toothpick. There is a tiny little line that they've already put in place there. That should give me enough of an edge to scribe against here so that I get this straight. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay. That's good. And working the rest of the way around the part, let's see. We've got this little area here. Still have to figure out what to do with that circle that I still don't like. Excuse me. All right, so now I need to figure out what to do with this circle. Actually, before that, I do want to separate this, and I'm a little concerned that that's a kind of shallow angle. Yeah, it's fine. The scriber will probably glide along there just fine and not slip. However, first pass, super light, just to be sure. Yeah, it almost deviated down there at the end of the line. But we can make it work. There we go. Alright, now I have to make sure that this line is deep enough to sort of finish off this edge right here, where it drops off this little edge before it meets that. And it's not quite deep enough, so I'm going to very carefully add that little bit in there to finish that off. Probably doesn't matter in the final end result, but just in case somebody looks real closely right there where that ends, to make sure that a panel line isn't ending in the middle of nowhere. Alright, there we go. And then I'm going to have the same issue at the end of this line where it goes over the edge here. However, I think that red part that fits inside there might cover it, so we're going to check. So like this goes in here. How far out? Yeah, that does come far enough out that it covers that little edge, so no problem there. I am going to go around this little edge here. Again, this probably gets covered. Yeah, actually it does. So I just need to go on this main part and then around that way. We'll do the around that way first. Even though I don't technically need to do this little bit right here, I will, because it'll make masking easier later. It's always easier to cut a piece of masking tape along a panel line if you need to. Alright, this circle. So, just looking at what else I've already done as maybe a source of inspiration, because I might want to do something to this whole panel here. So we've got this, we've got this. We do have this little cutout here. Where'd my pencil go? So maybe it makes sense to follow that angle up this way. But if I do that and I follow this angle up, they're going to make a triangle up here, which I'm not crazy about. Actually, you know what? We could take this one all the way. We could ignore that circle, fill it, and go right through it. What's behind that? Not much. Okay. Or we could follow this angle up. That's probably better. Ah, this pencil's out of lead. Wonderful. I don't know in my new studio where I've put my spare lead. So we go that way, and then maybe we... I don't want to go all the way to that edge. Cut this way. Probably. And then back that way. No, I don't like that. But I don't want to hit that straight on. So the answer is... actually to come in this way. Yep. Like so. Or I don't like the idea of hitting that there. Be too narrow there. Okay, let's change this entirely. Don't want to get dust on those because they're finished. Alright, so this is good-ish. I'm okay with that so far. So then the thing is going to be what to do here. Could come out this way. Yeah, actually I like that. Yep, that's the answer there. And then what to do about this section that's left over. It's not terrible like it is. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that like it is. Hey, Springer's here too. How's it going, man? I'm just here designing panel lines on the fly. Because I didn't have a plan ahead of time. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna work. Let's find my tape. And find the edge of the tape. There it is. Scribing has been pretty simple so far because I had only been just accentuating edges that are already here before I got to this part, and I decided I don't like this little circle. Don't know if you can see it with the lighting, but there's a little circle indentation right here, and I'm gonna fill that in because I think it's just kind of out of place there by itself. And then since I was doing that, I decided to break up this big panel that's gonna be left behind. Mostly what I'm trying to do with these parts is, because they're so big and they're just one color of plastic, right? There's a lot of parts on this kit that are just white. and they have a lot of detail on them that looks like it should be like bits of inner frame sticking out through the outer armor and things like that. But they're just molded in a single piece. And so I've been going through and trying to scribe the edges of all the little details so that later on when I paint, I can pull out sections of it and make them different colors. So I'm not adding a lot of my own detail. I say as I'm currently adding detail, but in general, I'm not adding a lot of my own detail. I'm just trying to work with what's already here on this kit. Because there is good detail, it's just all molded in single colors. Do you mean that in general, or on a specific project you're working on right now? Because I know you finished that tank thing. Are you working on something different now? That's right, I remember. I've seen pictures of that gun tank in progress. I'm not sure if we have any very many gun tank builds on Gunplay Gallery. We should go look. Let's go look. Yeah, there aren't very many. There's this one, which is crazy. And then there's a couple others. Yeah, so more people post gun tank builds on Gunplay Gallery. That'd be cool. Alright, so before I do that line, I'm actually going to do this other shorter one. Yeah, that'll be easier to take care of right now, I think. Well, you know what? I can just follow this angle up and hit wherever that line wants to hit as well. So I'm not going to do that one. However, I'm going to mirror this, at least with tape, onto the other side of this thing so that I get them matching. Should do it this way so that it matches up with what I did on the other one. Otherwise, those lines are never gonna line up right. All right, there we go. So that angle seems good, and then we can just count little tick marks. There are going to be a lot of them. 2, 7, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 28. Hey, Ghost Sword, welcome. Give me a second while I count. 13, 18, 23. Did I say 22 with that other one? I'm pretty sure I did. But no, I'm certain now that I didn't. So we'll have to go recount over here. Five, 10, 15, 20. I said 28. Perfect. So it's this one. Oh yeah, you told me last time you were here that you were going to build that. So finally you're going to build it, huh? That is exciting. Alright, so now that I've done the other side, I'm unhappy with what I've done over here because it's not lining up just right. So, let us fix this one up a little bit. That's better. Yep, that's much better. Alright, so we've gone, I believe, 13 little tick marks that way. So that's 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yep, 13. So right there. I'm gonna make a tiny mark with my pencil so I can remember. And that does look correct, comparing it to the other side. Yep. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting little corner to scribe right there. But if I place the tape super carefully, I think it'll be fine. All right, so all of that just to get that copied over there for future self, and then we'll get back to this part that we were actually working on. But that'll make it easier when I switch over, when I finish this part and go over to work on that other one. Sometimes I just grab my phone and take a reference photo of the part with the tape on it so that I can count the tick marks later on and replicate it to the other side, but lately I've just been going ahead and placing the tape. Makes it easier down the road. Alright, and I definitely want to finish this little edge off right there.
want my keys go. I want my keys going.
Make sure this is stuck down really well, especially down here in this corner, before I start this little segment here. Actually, that's not perfectly parallel with this other edge that's nearby, and the idea was for it to be. So let's fix that. There we go. Now restick it, and it should be better. So this corner right here isn't a perfectly square corner. It's got like a little beveled edge to it. So I need to make sure that this scribed line does the right thing as it comes around this beveled edge. All right, that should do it. Let's see how it came out. Moment of truth. Seems good. One thing I like about, and I did this on purpose when I figured out the design I wanted to end up using for this section here, was that the new lines dodge that indented circle there entirely, because then I can, when I fill that in later, it won't impact my lines, and I won't have to like rescribe part of a line that had gone through the circle or anything like that. Scribing through either putty or super glue, whatever you use to fill that detail, is always a little bit tricky, and it worries me a little sometimes when I have to do that. So I prefer to just avoid it entirely if possible. I'm not crazy about this corner right here. It didn't come out perfectly sharp, but I think I can salvage it. Yeah, that's already looking better. Cool. Nice. Can we see that? Yeah, you can kind of see it, and you can still see that little circle that's there that is going to go away. Now I'm gonna follow this edge up, and just wherever it meets there, it's gonna be like feathers. All of the scribing patterns on this kit are, at least in my mind, they are feathers, because this is a chicken after all. Yeah, so I'm just going to do my best to eyeball being parallel with this little edge right here. And then wherever that meets our other line, we're just going to let that happen. And actually, if I aim for about halfway on that circle, when I go to the other side, that will allow me to line it up just exactly the same. That looks pretty good. All right, and then you get this little edge right down in here that no one will ever see, but it still needs a line. That is exactly true. It bugs me to no end if I have a panel line that, like, around a corner, you know, it ends at an edge or a corner like this and it doesn't continue around the corner. So even if somebody's not likely to ever see it, I always continue the line to its logical completion. Alright, so before continuing with this part, which still needs some scribes down there around the tail section, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this other one and scribe the matching lines that we just did before I forget how I did them, or the nuance of how that other one meets in. Because I'm more likely to get it to be perfectly symmetrical if I just do this one right now. I'm having the same problem with this not wanting to be parallel that I had over on the other one. So let's fix that real quick. Yeah. And I know I have to be careful around this little beveled edge here. So I'm gonna make sure that with this toothpick that is pressed down super tight. Interesting thing about the symmetry on these parts, at least when I think about it as far as having it be perfect and exact, is that even though these are kind of two sides of a sandwich, right? So they're going to be close together on the kit, but they're not really visible at the same time because you're either looking at one side or the other. And so these actually don't need to be quite as perfectly symmetrical. Of course, I will try to make them as such, but it's bits that are seen at the same time that I'm extra super careful about making sure that they're perfect. I mean, if you do asymmetry on purpose, then yeah, you avoid this problem, right? However, I like symmetrical things. And so then when I start to work on something like this, I really care a lot that it is perfectly symmetrical if I can manage it. Just making sure this corner lines up perfectly before I scribe it. Yep, that'll work. So now this should end right into that corner. And if I'm careful, I can feel the scriber drop into that other segment when I get there. And so I can stop at just the right spot. Little magical plastic curls are everywhere now. That's an indication that you've probably been scribing too long. Might have to get out the little desk vacuum. All right, that should be those 3 segments done. And they look even better than the other side did. All right, make sure we continue this around the edge here. I'm going to be careful with this one. So I like to scribe from my left to my right with the tape below the line I'm scribing. Yeah, I know you can scribe with the tape above, but the way that you press the tool against the tape is different. And so for me, it's just easier to do it this way. But because of this very acute angle here where these 2 lines meet, I'm actually not starting this one all the way at that edge, because once I get this line deep enough, I'm gonna turn it around and scribe the other way into that acute angle, and that'll make a nice sharp corner where the 2 lines meet. That looks good. All right, water break. It's 77 degrees in here, which is so good. I keep forgetting I'm sitting in my garage, basically. But with the walls and the air conditioner in here, it's nice. 90-something degrees outside, so. Alright, how do I want this to end? This is a little strange. So these fit together, and this red bit fits over the end here like this. But this, where it ends around the edge here, is not great. So I have a couple choices. I could carry this around like that, and then this little white part sort of becomes part of what the red is, and I could paint it red. Or I could allow that to continue to be something separate, but then this edge is weird and doesn't make sense. So I think the answer is to carry this around this way. Yep, and if I'm gonna do that, I'm actually gonna put these two pieces together and scribe a single line across that with a piece of tape so that they line up perfectly. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it that way. I have to be careful where this crosses the gap between the two parts here that are sandwiched together. This is another spot where there's going to be a seam line all the way along this, this tail section, and I have decided that for this kit I don't care. I'm not going to try to fill that or combine that seam line. I'm not going to glue it or sand it or anything like that. Alright, so that's great, and that gives me a good starting point, or I guess ending point, for this other scribe that's going to have to come along the side here. And I know that they will line up. So this is the part we're working on. Yeah. And I just need to finish this line along here, and then figure out what to do with that. Actually, let's figure out what to do with that first. So this is easy, but there's a little edge there that is kind of strange. I guess it'll be fine. I will just trace along it with the scriber, and it will be fine. Happens here with this red bit. It sticks out far enough to cover that little edge there. Okay. And then this probably covers that little edge down there. Actually, it doesn't quite. Interesting. Alright, so I have to do something with that. And I think the correct thing to do with that is just bring it straight over. So we're going to use this trick again with this wider, super wide chisel, and I'm just going to eyeball a parallel line and press it in like that. And then scribe along it. Yep, that'll work. Okay, so this little edge can come straight down into this gap. Carefully. Make sure that lined up. Looks close. Alright, so that's this piece done, I believe. Did I follow that edge around? I did. Okay, cool. And that one is fine. And this one is not perfectly fine, but let's fix it. Like so. Yeah. Everything else is good. So, the only thing left to do with this is to fill in that circle. And I believe when I was moving my supplies and stuff out here, I noticed that my super glue, which is what I would normally use to fill that and then sand it back, has, yeah, it's sat too long and the cap has dried attached onto the bottle. So time for new super glue. So I will set this to the side and sometime in the next day or so go get myself a new bottle of super glue. And then I guess I just have the same edge scribing to do on this part. Wow, it looks like the microphone doesn't pick up the desk vacuum at all. So that's interesting. Probably good for people listening. The desk vacuum is full of nubs and hasn't been emptied in a while, so it makes quite the rattling sound when I turn it on. guess I'll do this one from this side. I was just thinking, I don't think that I took any before photos of this section of the build. When I worked on... Hey, welcome. Thanks for following. Yeah, so like when I worked on these sections, right? There's a... They're in pairs, so there's a mirrored side. So actually I think with this one especially, I completed one entire side before even disassembling the other one, and then I had a built-in before and after photo that I could post. But what we're working on right now, there's not a mirrored side, so I think I forgot to take a photo of what the before looked like. I'm certainly not going to reassemble it now and take a photo, so we will have no before photos for this section. The Zegok is a cool design. Actually, I tend to enjoy all of the underwater mobile suits. Like anything designed for underwater use is interesting to me because of the rounded submarine look that they have. You got to be careful, right? Because you'll get sucked in, like most of us have, to the hobby, and then you'll just keep buying more and more kits. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think the only Zegok I've built is the real grade one, maybe? I know I haven't built a master grade one, and most of the things I've built are master grades, so... I hope it didn't break when it fell from the desk. I always make sure the builds that I do that I really care about, like the ones that I've spent a lot of time on, I have them in like an enclosed glass display case in my house, because I'm afraid of them, like, if they're out in the open on a shelf, one, getting dusty, and two, getting bumped and knocked off the shelf and breaking. Yeah, I have a, my master grade Dynamis and Curios. I've actually moved them out of my display cabinet out here into my studio, at least for now, because the plan is to work on Virtue. It's over there behind my shoulder. And do the painting and detailing on that pretty soon, probably after this kit. And so I knew I was going to want those out here to be able to refer to them. However, that breaks my rule of having them in the display case in the house. And so I'm thinking about, for now, moving them back into the display case. They're back there behind my shoulder. But they're sitting out there in the open on that shelf. And I'm afraid every time I walk in the door and the shelf is right by the door, I'm afraid I'm going to accidentally reach over and hit them and knock them off. So I should probably just move them back inside. Alright, so this one is different than its mirror, because I didn't realize that they've actually hidden a seam line at the end of this fin, which is nice. And I'm okay, I guess, with the little detail that's there. I'm not going to change it. However, there is a line here that doesn't exist over here. So I might actually add that line. I think I probably will. Yeah, just so it's the same on both sides. We will add that little line in there. So the way I will do that is by measuring this width. I assume that this is the same width all the way along here. Certainly is. Yeah, that's good. And so now I can just very gently draw that line here. And you probably can't see that, but I barely can, and so that'll give me a reference to put the tape down to do the scribe. Gonna visually check that and make sure it looks correct. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, I haven't built the high grade version of that, but I imagine it'll be a fun build. All right, there. So now with this little line here, when we put these two parts together, it will look the same on both sides. And this line here is already pretty deep, so I'm just gonna give it a couple of passes just to match it up depth-wise with the line we just scribed. And that should be fine. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, cool. Let's see, I've done that one. I have to do this one. Right, and this had that little edge that we had to take care of in a special way. So let's do that now. So I'm just gonna eyeball that parallel line again. Just like so. Yeah, have a good day, or night, I guess. Thanks for stopping by. I don't remember if on the other side here I separated out that piece. Yes, I did. Okay, good. Because I want to, but I didn't remember having done it. so weird. Yeah, I did that. Okay. I keep thinking I didn't make these scribes on the opposite side piece. Like, I don't remember doing them. And yet I did. Alright, that's good. The extra detail we've already done. I need to do this edge here. Being super careful when I get to that corner. I should actually start from that corner and go away from it. That seems safer. Let's see, what time is it? I don't normally schedule time for streaming on Tuesdays, so I have to keep reminding myself that, yes, it is 11 here on the East Coast of the United States, and so I should probably end kind of soon because I actually have other things I definitely have to do today. Yeah, unfortunately, you know, the good thing is my job is very flexible as far as hours, so there's no really time for work, but there's just like a certain amount of work that has to get done in a day, and so if you don't get started at some point, you won't finish, right? This is true. However, if you just like spend insane amounts of time on a single build, which is what I tend to do, especially with the ones that I end up caring about a lot, then you really got your money's worth, I think, right? So just buy like one kit every 3 to 4 months and take that long to work on it. That is the solution, I think. Yeah, or do that. That's cool too. See, the problem that I have lately with buying kits is that because of all the like weirdness with shipping and availability of kits being messed up for the last couple of years, if something that I care about becomes available, I feel like, oh, I need to buy it now because like this might be my only chance. And that's how I end up with more kits than I need. Like if I feel like if they were more readily available all the time, I wouldn't have that problem. I'd be like, oh, you know, I want this kit, but I could always just get it later when I actually have time to build it. And so I'll wait. But yeah, lately when I see one that I want, I'm like, oh, I better get it now. So yeah, maybe there's not actually a production or shipping problem. Maybe this is a big scheme from Bandai to make us all buy kits right away by creating this false sense of scarcity, right? It's a marketing trick. Remind myself what I did over here on the other side with that edge. Oh right, I didn't care because the red part covers it. That's right. Alright, this is a place to be super careful because this angle gets very shallow over here at this edge, and I'm afraid that I will not draw a straight line. So hey, look at that. I've drawn a straight line. Excellent. Although one more thing I will say on the subject of finding and buying kits and this scarcity that we've been having is my opinion on P Bandai has changed a bit in that I used to, as soon as something became available there, if it was something I wanted, I felt like I needed to order it right away. But lately I've noticed they've been reprinting and, you know, selling some of those P Bandai kits, you know, maybe 3 or 4 months later. So I am less scared these days that if I miss a P Bandai release that I really want, like I used to be scared it wouldn't ever come back, and now I feel like there's a good chance it probably will if I just wait long enough. Yeah, I agree. And it makes sense for Bandai too, right? Because they know that whatever they produce, they're definitely selling it. Well, they've, I guess, technically already sold it. So they're not producing anything that's going to sit on shelves. It's all sold right away. But I like the idea that like they're treating it not as a like one-time release thing anymore. At least it seems to me that way. That if a kit is popular on P-Bandai especially, there's a very good chance that they'll release it again a little while later. Yeah, for me, like the Toggy's Flugel, it's back there, is it? Yeah, it's back there. It was, we snap built it a few months ago on stream. That was one that I didn't get the first time, or maybe even the second time, and eventually I picked it up. That one's also up there. And same, I got that one on the second printing as well. One thing I missed recently that I will probably grab the next time that they reprint it is that very pointy backpack thing for the Eclipse Gundam. I do have the Eclipse, I haven't built it. It's in my backlog somewhere. But I had seen that one in the last batch of P-Bandai releases, and I didn't order it because there was nothing else I wanted to order. And it seems silly just to order that only. So maybe they'll release... Yeah, that backpack, has so many pointy things all over it. Alright, what lines have I missed? I feel like I've missed some, but... everything looks good here. Alright, so 2 matching halves of a chicken tail. Chickens? Do chickens have tails? I guess not. And these don't need any... Yeah, I guess they do. They're just not like crazy long like this tail. So maybe it's not a chicken after all. I think maybe they were going for something like Phoenix or, you know, some other more intimidating bird. But to me, especially this head part, it makes it just look like a chicken. Alright, so these are all done as far as scribing goes. I will sand them, but not here on stream because that's even more boring than scribing to watch, I feel. This pointy bit that comes out the top of the tail definitely needs some scribing to separate out these fancy detailed bits that are on the top edge here. So it's going to be the same type of stuff as those pieces we just did. It's just going to be deepening the existing lines. I don't think I'm going to add anything new here. It looks fine to me. This vent that's like kind of out in the middle of nowhere is not great. I might do something about that. Ooh, yeah, I have an idea of what to do about that. Cool. But I'm not going to do it now because I have to go do other things. So, put to the side. Sometimes you have to force yourself to stop working on the project because the other things you have to do are also important. So, that's what I'm going to do now. But, I made decent progress, I feel like, today. 2 parts is all. But, it's progress, right? And then, as soon as we finish the rest of these parts, I will go ahead and we've got these, which are out of camera. Oh, you know what? If I zoom out, they won't be anymore, right? Yeah. So all of these are ready to go as far as priming and painting. And then I've got to finish the 3D printed part, this guy here. that fits into here. Got to finish designing that. But maybe by the end of this week, we will get the rest of this detailed, and then I can paint it. Based on current progress, that seems reasonable, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, and that's going to do it for me for today, for this session at least. I will try to come back later today and do some sanding on this, so that we can tackle these the next time. And yeah, that'll do it. I hope you guys have a good day. Yeah, thanks for sticking around and watching, Springer and others, whoever else is around. I'm still waiting. Somebody's watching on YouTube right now, according to my stats. I'm waiting for somebody to chat from YouTube, so that we can see if it shows up in the chat, because it should. If that person is hearing me right now, give it a try. Yeah, I'm gonna wait like 10 seconds. Just to see if we can test that out. If not, I mean, I could always just log on and watch my own stream and test it out, I suppose. That's a little weird, though. Alright, no comment from our YouTube friend. That's fine. Thanks for watching anyway. Have a good day, guys. I will see you next time.